was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. It was the best. It was the best. It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. It was the best. You stupid monkey.
It's been 4 and a bit years since the original release of the incredibly awesome The Witcher 3, and yet this game feels every bit as fresh and relevant as it did in a year dominated by man buns and adult colouring books. Nintendo and the wonderful folks at CD Projekt Red have collaborated on this modern day port of the 2015 Game of the Year. And I can tell you right now, this game has not been toned down even one single fraction. This is the full blood and bone experience that you would get on any other platform. For those of you who like to play their Switch on public transport, be warned, the full frontal experience is on display here. Let's get the obvious out of the way up front. First, how they didn't go with The Switcher for the title, I'll honestly never know. The sense of missed opportunity here is palpable. Second, congratulations, you've just purchased yourself a new micro SD card. The storage space required to house this bad boy is more than the humble Switch can offer on its own. This game tops out at a whopping 28 gigabytes, and it's also fair to point out that this does include the 2 expansion packs for The Witcher 3. If you think about it, the same edition of The Witcher 3 on PS4 was around 70 gigabytes. It's incredibly impressive to think that they could even make it work with less than half the storage space. It really is the mini-me of RPGs, just like its big brother, but one half its size.
Breathtaking. I shall call him Mini-Me.
If you've never played this game before, boy oh boy are you in for a treat. When it comes to RPGs, The Witcher 3 really does set a new standard. There's a deep and interesting world lore, rich character backstory and development, intelligent skill tree and inventory management systems, exciting and technically difficult combat systems, and it's just one of the most fully developed games in recent memory. A further warning here though for anyone not quite of age. This is a game made by adults, for adults, with plenty of adult content, suggested and otherwise. Now, there will be inevitable comparisons between this game and its bigger brothers on the major platforms, and 100% the other versions look far prettier and run much smoother. How could they not? To be honest, the conversation is completely pointless. The real question here is, does the game work well enough on the smaller platform and in the handheld format? All of the commentary considering the look and feel should take that into consideration. The graphics have been stylised to fit into the Switch format, and it still manages to stay true to the aesthetic of The Witcher. While the experience is muted when the Switch is in the cradle, the handheld screen is as detailed as you could hope for. It almost looks like an updated version of one of the original Fable titles. The recommendation here, as with any screen you have in your possession, is to turn off the motion blur function, which tends to distract in some of the more graphically demanding scenes. It's a real shame that they chose not to make the most of the touchscreen functionality with this game, because The Witcher 3 could really use it. All the inventory management and card playing, it just seems like this would have been an absolute no-brainer. Instead, you're restricted to the standard controls, which is just a missed opportunity. Let's talk about the real reason we're all here. Gwent. It's back! And it makes it as awesome as ever to steal money from peasants in broad daylight in the middle of the street.
Mr. Son of a Bitch, let's play some cards.
If you haven't had the pleasure of playing the king of minigames before, what rock have you been living under? It's since been released in several iterations as a standalone game, and deservedly so. Now you can experience where it all began, and what starts out as a small feature quickly becomes an equal partner in the overall experience of The Witcher. You'll lose many hours playing cards with shopkeepers, innkeepers, beekeepers, and keepers of all sorts. Once you get bitten by the Gwent bug, unfortunately, there is no cure. Although, to point out the obvious, was this not the perfect chance to use the touchscreen? regardless, this will no doubt win over many new fans. When considering all this game has to offer and the amazing experience you can have in this world, it seems a shame that the graphics on the Switch, while stylised, might not match up to the demanding standards of modern titles. It truly is impressive to see what they've managed to do with the compressed game size, and you can only hope that this sets another benchmark for other developers to reach up to. It's good to see one of the best platforms getting a release of one of the best games you'll play this side of 2015. For more on The Switcher, or other games like it, you can check out Shaken Not Nerd on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, or you can subscribe to our podcast on your nearest podcatcher.
Sure, I'm glad. Maybe even a little curious.
I wouldn't even hear me out.
Pay that man his money.